folks, if you'll just gather around a little closer now. Come right in a little closer. That's it. That's fine, folks.
Breaking news, Dan Raphael on the Sandor Martin, Devin Haney, the champion purse bid at 140 for the WBC title. Well, they're saying Top Rank won the bid. Well, they didn't win it exactly. They're the only bidder. How comes Eddie didn't bid? 2.4 million was the bid. Not surprised that it was that low. 70% goes to Devin, 10% is held back for the winner. So what is that for Devin? 1.5, 1.6? I don't think he's going to fight for that. Is he going to vacate this belt? Devin responded to Matchroom's no-show, and he said, nasty work, Matchroom. So, it doesn't look like what is well between him and Hearn and Matchroom. Have they not been communicating recently? 1.5 for Sandor Martin, who is a hard sell. Good fighter, but a hard sell. Doesn't speak the lingo and all that crap there, and he's a counter-puncher, a southpaw, etc., etc. It's actually not a bad purse considering how Devin looked in his last fight. And look, I know Ryan cheated. I'm just talking about how the way people who saw the fight see it. They're not going to look at, oh, it's a no contest. Oh, Ryan cheated. Oh, he came in overweight. All they remember is Devin was on the canvas multiple times and had a bad day at the office. Might not actually be a bad purse, and considering Sandor Martin is not a big draw either. Might not be a bad purse to take. Wasn't expecting this, to be honest. I don't think many people were. You know, perhaps if they can get Sandor to step aside again, because he stepped aside for the Ryan Garcia fight, and if the WBC permit it, you get a unification between Devin and Liam Paro. Devin's won in Australia twice already, so it's a possibility. Gary Antoine Russell, he lost on Saturday on the Tank versus Frank undercard to Puello. That was for the interim title. Russell was ranked number 2, Catterall was number 3. Richardson, Hitchens, Dalton Smith, all in the top 5. So Matchroom have a lot of numbers at 140, a lot of numbers. Perhaps Matchroom are just strategizing what they're going to do. I guess a little embarrassing for the fighters. This tweet was a little before Liam Paro outpointed Subriel Matthias for the IBF 140-pound title. And Eddie advises Devin not to try and unify with Matthias after that taxing losing effort, although it could be downgraded to a no contest because Ryan cheated, obviously. Eddie thought Matthias was too dangerous, so he advised him to defend against Sandor Martin. And I guess Devin took that as the green light to say, okay, you're advising me to do that. I assume you're going to bid on the fight. But Matchroom did not bid on the fight. Now, Devin and Bill supposedly have their own promotional ambitions. And people are saying, well, why didn't you bid on it yourself? You're a free agent. And this is the thing. A lot of these fighters brag, I'm a free agent, I'm my own man, I'm making moves. It's all fun and games until you got to put your hands in your own pockets. Innit? Either Matchroom don't think Devin is worth it anymore, he's damaged goods, and Liam Paro came up big on the weekend and could be a potential star in Australia, and that's all he cares about at 140 right now. Or something happened with the business that's made Matchroom and Eddie want to keep their distance a little. But we'll see how it plays out. Eddie said, we don't have a contract with Devin. It's not an appealing fight. You don't have a contract with Devin, you have a contract with Sandor. Maybe Sandor's out of contract. That's all I can think right now. He said it's not an appealing fight. It wasn't a fight the zone were motivated by or one that had any value. Devin is a free agent and has his own promotional company. Wow, that's hard. That's hard, bro. That's what it is. You see, when Devin fought Ryan, he didn't go with Matchroom assisting him. He went with his own promotional company. Eddie was saying if Matchroom was involved, they would have handled the whole Ryan over the weight situation different. And now he's basically telling Devin, you didn't need us last time for Ryan Garcia, you don't need us now. That's what Eddie's telling Devin. A Haney Sandor Martin fight is not a priority at 140 for Matchroom right now. Now, a couple of years back, when they did not have so much depth in the division, they would have bid for this fight. They would have bid. And perhaps Sandor still has a contract with Matchroom, but Eddie's probably spoke to him and said, look, there's no commercial interest in this fight. If someone else bids for it, you'll be better off going on their platform, getting paid, and getting your shot at the title. And Sandor's not stupid, he probably understands that. Well, why would Bob Arum bid for that fight? Well, he's got Teofimo Lopez, WBO champion. He could match the winner in a unification with Teo. Also, the top ranked cards haven't been that good in recent years, so maybe Bob just needs some good content to put on the ESPN, and it's as simple as that. Now, whether Devin takes the fight or not, we'll see. Now, Bob keeps it old school. Wage structure generally doesn't pay over the odds from what your market worth is. But if you could sweeten the pot for Devin, perhaps Devin might take that fight. I mean, they've worked together recently. Devin being on the canvas multiple times and taking that beating has obviously hurt his market value, even though he kept the belt. Ryan cheated using PEDs. And even though the fight might be reduced to a no contest, he's the more bankable asset post-fight.
So you wanna be a boxer?
Hell no, he replied.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Jack Catterall has said today he's prepared to go over to Australia to fight Liam Paro. He's ranked number 2, but Richardson Hitchens, he's ranked number 1. So, MATCHROOM have got a lot of strategizing to do at 140. And then there's Liam Paro dethroning Subriel Matias on Saturday. You can tell Eddie's so glad. No disrespect to Subriel Matias, but Eddie is glad that Liam Paro won. He's glad that Liam Paro won. Eddie said the Matias fight wasn't even close. It looked a little close to me. But on a global scale, Australia have the bigger market. Puerto Rico only came back to big time boxing when the Matias fight Saturday gone. Australians have the bigger market. So, look, Devin can't expect to be a priority over these fighters who were signed to MATCHROOM. And while they've had a good relationship, free agent and promoter, well, things have changed. 140 is thick. 140 is thick. You need to sign something to paper to get a priority over the likes of Paro, Hitchens, Catterall, Dalton Smith, Matias, Regis Progrerius might even have a fight left on MATCHROOM.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Lawrence OKOLIE, after a year or so on Boxer, has confirmed that he's a promotional free agent. Now, he's got that Bridgerweight title, obviously. Frank Warren might be interested. I don't see Eddie taking him back. I don't see that happening. Although Lawrence was keen to mend some fences with Eddie on June the 1st in Saudi Arabia. But he said, yeah, it's just to be friendship, nothing to do with business. I wonder. Doesn't appear that Sky or Boxer are putting up much resistance. They're just letting him go. Now, he hasn't been in the most attractive fights, we do know that. But they were talking about making this guy the face of boxing at Sky. What happened? OKOLIE, BUATSI, RIAKPORHE, they're all supposed to be the face of boxing over there at Sky, but we all know Chris Billion-Smith run things over there. Now, Lawrence hasn't said there's any issues with Ben Shalom, but there must be a reason why he decided to go out there as a free agent. If I was any of the main promoters in the UK, I would only sign Lawrence OKOLIE if he moved up to heavyweight. Moving up to heavyweight, I think it will be easier to match Lawrence into fights that are potentially more bankable. That's the way I see it. It's no coincidence that the 2 greatest cruiserweights of all time have also went on to become undisputed heavyweight champions. Holyfield 3-belt era, Usyk 4-belt era. And let's keep it real. You can go from Holyfield, Usyk, David Haye. Cruiserweight is a training division for smaller heavyweights to eventually move up into the heavyweight division and get amongst the big money. I know Lawrence is at Bridgerweight now, but he started at cruiser.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
I planned to cover this story yesterday after Robert made this comment. Why did Boxer book out Selhurst Park for this fight? It looked half empty. They should have booked out the O2 or Wembley Arena and packed it out. I replied, because I was going to cover it after he said that, way too big a venue for that fight. We're talking about Chris Billion-Smith versus Richard RIAKPORHE. Now, initially, RIAKPORHE and Chris were supposed to be the chief support to Anthony Yarde and Joshua BUATSI. That fight fell through for several reasons. They're still talking about the potential of that matchup manifesting. I think Joshua BUATSI should move on, but he's doing his own thing. Now, don't ask me how this makes any sense. Ask Ben Shalom. He says that Chris Billion-Smith did 15,000 for either the Lawrence Okolie or Masternak fight at Bournemouth, the Vitality. But according to the data, it's only a 11,000 capacity stadium. Anyway, we found out Chris Billion-Smith is a bankable commodity in Bournemouth. You go any territory, it's not easy to get bankable commodities like that. It's not. So he fought twice at the Vitality Stadium, but they decided to go to Selhurst Park, South London, where both Isaac Chamberlain and Richard RIAKPORHE are from. They're South Londoners. Then we got to look at Ben Shalom. I've always got him in the dock, it seems, but not without justification. That's what people need to know. Not without justification. Selhurst Park has a capacity of 25,000. Well, they only drew 12,000 people to Selhurst Park. 12,000. So that's half the stadium filled. So yes, the stadium looked half empty. Added to the fact, they were giving away free tickets. That's what they said on my hangout. Try and fill out the stadium. And they still couldn't give the tickets away. Now, Richard seems to be a bit of a personality, modelling, socialising with pop stars and whatnot. So maybe that led to Sky and Boxer thinking, yo, Richard is good for this at Selhurst Park. Got to put the work in. And he's not just fighting in the ring, you know, like Johnny Fisher from Essex. Can he sell out the copper box against Babbage? Signs are looking good from what I'm hearing. And then from that, you sell out the copper box, then he can go to Wembley Arena, then at O2, on the provision that he was winning and winning belts. And scoring knockouts doesn't do no harm. The one thing you can't do is have this entitlement. I should just be given the money, just be given the purses. Big Gates should just manifest. No, you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in. I read somewhere that Johnny Fisher and his dad personally deliver the tickets that they sell to whoever purchases. That's commitment. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy. The copper box will be sold out. It will be sold out. Johnny Fisher versus Babbage, because Dillian is good at marketing. He's good at handling his business. You might hear Dillian complain about promoters. Of course, most boxers do. But Dillian is not whinging about it. He doesn't whinge. He makes it happen. So I have no doubt the copper box will be full. And once the demand is there, then you can get these huge purses. It's not a problem. You got to make it happen.
Come on, make it happen, baby. Oh yeah, come on.
Here's Anthony Joshua saying nearly finished negotiations for his next fight, feeling motivated. That's Wembley Stadium, not arena. Wembley Stadium. And it's going to be full out. That's going to be a crazy night for British boxing. An absolutely crazy night. Crazy. And that's what it's all about, people. Ultimately, you got to set up the demand. You got to set up the demand. Once you do that, you don't even have to look at the gate. You don't even have to look at the pay-per-view numbers. It's all going to handle itself. AJ against Danny Dubois. Current form, both of them are smashing it. And then you got the rest of the card. Wardley versus Clark, hopefully. Shiraz versus Eubank. Jai Pattaya, I think he returns on that card. Riyadh season? Crazy, crazy. The WBO have nominated BUATSI and Hutchinson to fight for the interim belt at 175. BUATSI's interested, but he's still looking at the possibilities of a Yarde fight. Yarde and Tunde are fighting for their independence to be free agents. I did hear Yarde say he spoke to BUATSI personally, one-on-one, and this Yarde situation could be resolved soon, and then they can get the fight popping. Maybe so. But if there is a legal dispute, a BUATSI and Yarde fight could be very problematic. And let's keep it real. BUATSI signed with Boxer early last year. Missed out on an opportunity to fight Bivol for that WBA 175-pound title. There's still a lawsuit pending on BUATSI's last fight with MATCHROOM, whether he fulfilled his contract obligations or not. Missed out on the Bivol fight. World title opportunity gone. To do what? To fight Dan Aziz? And even that fight there, what happened? Dan Aziz got injured, delayed the fight. So let's say Yarde and BUATSI managed to get their shit together and they've got a fight in 6 months' time, let's say. One of them gets injured. The fight gets delayed and more time is elapsed from your careers. Boxing is a short career. You don't want to take stupid fights and make rushed decisions, of course not. But you need to be assertive and perhaps not overthink it too much, because you're going to come up short.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Dissected the facts. Time to drop the synopsis. Bob Arum said that Inoue doesn't have long left at super bantamweight. So is he going to jump up to featherweight? That's interesting. So because he's going to jump up to featherweight, I'm assuming, they don't feel obligated to fight the mandatory contender, AKHMADALIEV, who up till one fight ago was a unified champion. 29 years of age, he's only had one loss. Now, he probably has a better resume than TJ Doheny, who hasn't been a champion since 2019. TJ is 37 years of age. He's ranked number 2 by the WBO, but if you go through all 4 sanctioning bodies, of which Inoue holds all the straps, AKHMADALIEV is the higher ranked contender. He's ranked in all the sanctioning bodies, number 4 WBC, mandatory WBA, number 4 IBF, and number 5 WBO. And then I heard, after Inoue fights Doheny, the Irishman, that they're still not going to oblige the mandatory. There was another name they were going to fight before AKHMADALIEV. A lot of people are asking, is it a case that Top Rank don't want to negotiate with MATCHROOM? Has it got that petty? And if so, why exactly? It's hard to believe that Inoue is avoiding AKHMADALIEV. Well, it's hard for a lot of people to at least debate that. But not for me. I'll debate it, and I rate Inoue. After seeing him on the canvas against Neri in his last fight, they're realizing, he's 31 and you're jumping up these weight classes. Yeah, you're human just like everyone else. Now, I'm just discussing it as a possibility. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't think he's scared of AKHMADALIEV. I don't believe that. I don't believe he's ducking AKHMADALIEV necessarily. Although I'm not sure why he's not taking the fight. Why wouldn't he fight is mandatory. The Inoue fan base are coming to his rescue, doing all types of damage control. It's not necessary. The man's already in the Hall of Fame, a great fighter. You don't need to do that. But if it is some bullshit, that's what it is. Added to that, the AKHMADALIEV fight was a potential career highest payday for Inoue on September the 21st on the undercard of AJ versus Dubois. Looks like we got to scrap that. AKHMADALIEV's management was eyeing up, a potential fight at Wembley. Highest payday for AKHMADALIEV. And what was Bob Arum's other reasoning for TJ Doheny? Oh, he's more well known in Japan because his last 3 fights have been in Japan. I mean, only a 90-plus-year-old promoter could get away with that explanation. Imagine Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren trying that explanation. Yeah, well, we're going to fight this guy because he's fought in the UK's last 3 fights. He's more popular than a foreigner. Who says that? Doheny fought on the undercard of Inoue's last fight against Neri. So it looks to me like Bob either has some promotional options on Doheny. If somebody is to turn Inoue over, let's say it does happen, better someone with promotional ties to Bob Arum, so they're going to keep it in-house. And they're being a bit cautious. I guess I'm not an Inoue fan because that was my analysis. But fuck a lot of these boxing fans anyway, man. Fuck a lot of them. All promoters exercise a little caution. Some are a little too excessive though. AKHMADALIEV is a good fighter. And so is the Irishman. He's a good fighter too. They're both good fighters. But on current form, AKHMADALIEV is a tougher test. He's a mandatory. And plus, Top Rank have no ties or options on him. That's why they're going for Doheny. And with that,
I'm gone. Ghost, peace, sayonara.